All right, so we're coming cold here on the Calling the Audible. It is the Week 2 edition on a Thursday evening. Eagle a little bit perplexed as we have Simon Dagenet to my immediate left. PC not here with us as I think he took some high-strength, heavy-hitting drugs that has made him sleepy, and now he's at home resting his wrist. Or is it Kids Tunnel? Or Flintstone pills. Jim Glethra is here with us. He's
nice to be here.
Him,
thank you.
So
well, on the other side of the table.
Yeah. For those who don't know who he is, this is who he is. Anyway, boys, we are going to do Division
Terrible
E.
introduction.
Yes, of course. Division E podcast. Of
Yes,
course,
sir.
This is the intro league of the FPF world. And just quickly, John, we'll get into the generalization of what needs to be done for the newer teams out there because now we're at the point in week 2. We're starting to see some separation of teams who are pulling away from the pack here. But I'll ask you guys quickly, did you see anything that caught your attention from the scoreboard from this past week's games?
I saw. So Pete is not here, so we'll talk about his team. Because
Shocker.
when he's here, we don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
Once P Power beats the Zone 6 Ballers by a whopping 42-19. The impressive sightline is the presence of Alex Noel on the team, where it's just, I don't know if he's a permanent solution for them.
He's not.
Or he's not. So he would be a great add-on for your team, Eagle. Maybe you should
Think about it.
He's a better Eagle, actually. That's what he is.
He's a very good player. In Division E, he's a monster.
He also smiles when he runs those yards after the catch.
Yeah.
He's always just like.
He's also a nice guy, which helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider signing him on.
Think about it.
Just
Okay.
you know.
Well, here's the thing, right? I watched the game last night, and Eagle was very Eagle-like. But I'll give Zone 6 their credit, though. This is a team that probably has potential. Maybe if they stick with the plan of being a multi-season team in FPF, they got guys that have skill sets. Their quarterback, Jesse Val-Bernard, he's got the ability to really launch the ball if required, which he did a few times. And he can also run if he's confident about doing that here. So they have a dual-threat quarterback. They have some good size across the board here. A lot of guys are 6'1", 6'2". I think it's a matter, and Jim, you know this because you've built teams from scratch where there may be no pedigree or educational background of the FPF world, but if they stick with it, perhaps they could be a solid team for years to come in the winter and spring seasons down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. There's a lot of resources available even to the new teams. There's the weekly games a week that have been filmed, previous championships, so you can see what works well for teams and what does not, how different teams line up and use their offensive and defensive schemes. There's the Mocon and Adi Sharma Chalk Talk from back in the day.
The retro, the dust
where they go over all the defenses used in FPF, sort of like educational videos, and they've actually still held the test of time. Those were filmed in what, 2009?
They were filmed before we ever had 4K TV.
Yeah.
So, I think 2009 is more appropriate.
And that was even before 4-1 became a really, really big, widely used defense in FPF. So I remember that being one of the ones outlined, and it was a little bit more in depth than it needed to be. But now that it's used so often, it's super useful. And there's even just something to be said about showing up early to games, staying later, and again, just seeing how different teams are successful.
Yeah, there's just the fact of seeing more FPF helps you see things that you don't necessarily think about. Reaching out to either other players on other teams or other divisions, or reaching out to even any of us. Myself, Mokan on the sidelines, GM, Eagle.
No,
Peas.
not me. I'm not going to care about you. I'm asking for your flag money. Flag money? Okay, here you go. $5. Here's your
Right.
flag.
Sounds like Mokan.
Absolutely.
So anybody but Mokan, really. You can reach out, ask questions.
Most
We're always
getting
happy to help.
Ornery in his old age.
Well, the game I saw, XD against Fighting Flamingos. You, Simon,
Yes.
and I, we saw this game.
Flying Flamingos.
25-21 victory for the XD. Now, Jim, I'll tell you the stat line here across the board, okay? So, one quarterback went 11 for 17 for 126, 4 TDs, 1 INT. Quarterback number 2 went 20 of 38 for 148, 3 TDs. So, in theory, 38 passing attempts, that's about 21 more passing attempts in the game here. Would you say...
It's also a better completion percentage.
Perhaps, yes. Yeah. Would you say the one who had more passing attempts is the winning quarterback or the losing quarterback?
I would say that the one who had more passing attempts was the losing quarterback because I did my homework and looked at the stat line.
That is done with.
I think that this comes out a little bit more to fourth down and red zone inefficiencies, right?
Yeah.
When you're able to move the ball that easily and you have that strong a completion percentage, but are not coming out on top, you're not making the most of the drives that you have.
So what do you think about Flamingos? I know Miles Keller was telling us, Simo, it's a brand new team practically,
It's
right?
not the same team.
Not the same team.
There's
They have
only
two
Miles
returners.
and Miles Keller and Brad Evans.
We're two returning returners,
And that's
right?
it. The rest are all new guys. They don't even have the same quarterback. The whole team is different.
Well,
They kept the same name.
That's kind of the point, though, right? Is that like in order to keep a sustainable formula where a team like this is going to stay in the lower divisions, so say Div 6 or Div E, you're going to need that turnover in order to still be able to fit guys like Brad, like Miles on the team.
That's a big
So-
turnover, though. Keeping only 2 players.
Well, I mean, Stephen Haraprasad, they weren't able to keep him because of
for sure.
his rating.
That's for sure.
He's
but-
worth more than like 25 quarterbacks in Division E, practically.
Oh, for sure. But then you could have kept maybe 1 or 2 more guys, or just change the team name, and then we wouldn't talk about them the same way.
They
If
could have
they-
called
if they were
themselves
called whatever
Flamingo Fighting. Then wow, this new
That's
team.
awful, Mo.
That's
That's-
terrible.
that's-
You could have
no.
came up with like Black Forest Cake. It would have worked better.
Oh, it's right there. But here, I'll give Xavier the credit though. Sam Pearl was efficient, right? 11-17 for 126. The thing with him though, guys, is that he converted on critical downs in the red zone, where I thought they were very good distributing the ball. Derek Ziegler, 3 TDs. He was a go-to guy for them. I thought the defense played sound football. Didn't have to come up with a big INT or not, but they played really good football and stuck to the fundamentals. And look, I'm not saying they're going to be the team to beat here, but if they can make it a low-scoring affair, I know PZ has always used that mantra.
He knows nothing.
You need 5 touchdowns to win an FPF game here, but in this level of football, I think if you can play to your strengths and have that team play down or play to what you do, you might have a chance to win games.
If you slow it down enough, most cases 25 points will win you a lot of games. You're probably gonna win 6 or 7 games in a season by scoring 25 if you don't score every if your offense takes 1 play, scores a 40 bomb, you're giving them a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
But if your offense takes the same amount of time as anybody else, for instance, then you're not giving them 8 or 9 opportunities to score. You should be all right with 25.
And there's really something to be said about drawing out the clock and limiting your opponent's time on the field.
But
You should know.
But if you guys are in that position again, for those who are new to this league in Division E, what would your game plan be? Would it be grip and rip it, or just guys, let's slow it down, let's simplify this offense and just go with what we have?
I think it comes down to how new are you? Is your quarterback more of a pocket passer, or is he able to buy time with his legs? Can he roll out? Is this a returning team, or is it a brand new team? I think in instances where it's a brand new team, you definitely want to slow down the pace of the game. For quarterbacks who struggle sitting back in the pocket, you want to slow down the pace of the game as well, because it'll also give your quarterback time to rest. More often than not, I would say, especially in Division E, slow down the pace of the game.
I think it's a matter of what's your strength and what's your weaknesses. If your team's very good, like you have a lot of speedsters and you're able to burn the field, then use that to your advantage, score quickly, and then put the pressure back on the other team. If your team's more of a systematical offense and you're using these small hooks and slants and stuff, then there's no point in speeding up the clock, because your offense isn't built around the fact that you're going to score 17 times. It's built around the fact that you're going to beat them at certain things, but once they figure it out, you might have a few more. If they know you're hitting hooks all the time, it might not work anymore.
Yes, Eagle, you better say something.
I would say, just for brand new teams out there, don't play mind games with yourself. You know, if you're good at one thing, do that one thing when it comes crunch time. Don't try and
So
be
hold
like,
on, Eagle. Hold on, sorry, Eagle. So if they're good at running the football, you can't run every play.
no, okay, but
You're the
I would
worst.
argue that running the football is not a strength in FPF, right? I'm talking more about
Yeah,
a
it could be.
dink and dunk progressive offense versus a bomb it offense, right?
So what do
if
you
you're
prefer,
good at
Eagle?
if you're good at throwing 40 bombs, or basically just going downfield on your post and your goes and everything, don't try and be like, oh, they're gonna expect it and everything, so don't run that. Run it, and if it's not there, look for your check down options at that point.
So what
But
do you
don't
prefer,
not
Eagle?
run the plays just because you think you're gonna do it.
Do you prefer dink and dunk or the running gun?
It doesn't matter which one you do. Just stick to what you're good at when you need to score.
Surprised by the Rancher score, guys. They beat the Ducks 32-6. We know the Ducks, they've had a pretty good start to their FPF.
Rats
History.
are a good team, man. They have a few very good players, and in Division E, I think they have more than enough players to shut down most offenses.
So are they, in your humble opinion, in the wrong division altogether? Should they be probably Div D2 then if they're too good for this division?
It's a low division. Oh, you want to take this?
Go ahead and start it off. I was just going to say, like, it also depends on their strength of schedule at this point in the season as well, right? Like, if they're paired up against the other top teams in Division E1 at this point in the season, we wouldn't be having this conversation because they'd be playing games that end in maybe 2 score differences at most, or they're closer games than that.
Right.
So I think that depending on the strength of their schedule, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they might have been too high earlier a few seasons ago. Now they came down maybe too low a little bit. It's tough to find the right margins because they went up. They were in Division 4, if I remember correctly, and they were not the right division. Now, they were able to fit in Division E, so why not? Now, their offense might not be the most high-flying, best offense there is, so maybe they'll learn a few things in Division E. I don't think they're going to run the tables on a lot of teams and score 50 points, but their defense is really good, and that might be troublesome for a few new teams who never played against veterans like that in FPF, where they might struggle to just score flat out, put up 6 points.
We'll
Right?
talk about defenses in a bit here. By the way, they'll have XD next week on Tuesday in Broadside, which should be quite the fascinating styles of play here, where we have the high-scoring offense of Ranchers against the very pragmatic offense of XD here. Anything else that caught your attention from this past week, guys?
So what's up with Jonathan Lemieux? We all know him as a quarterback. He's been playing in FPF for as long as I can remember. He's always
and even
been
longer than that.
Yeah, maybe longer.
Longer
that.
than FPF has been born. Let's put it that way.
He's always been good. He's never been the greatest, but he's always been good, right? Like he's always been like the 5 to 4 caliber quarterback. But this season he's struggling terribly.
But struggling with what though, Simon? In your mind,
I don't know if it's
pass incompletions or what's the deal with him?
I don't
What
know
do
if
you
it's either
think?
because the receivers are not what he's used. I think there's a little bit of both. I think it's a bit he doesn't have the receivers he's used to, and his receivers were better than we might have thought they were, individually speaking. I mean, maybe his concept doesn't work with these guys. They don't
They
understand.
might not fit in the system.
Yeah,
the
they
same
might
way.
not understand the concept. They're not running it properly. Maybe they don't. The chemistry's not there. There could be a few things, but to see a guy that was successful in Division 4 not so long ago playing Division E and struggle this much confuses me a little bit.
But
I mean, they got smoked by Clinkers.
Yeah,
Clinkers is a good team,
Yeah.
but they're not that strong, right? Like you only expect Clinkers to beat teams 40-0 every week.
no,
And
but
I think a guy like Jonathan Lemieux, who has a few weapons around him, should be able to score at least 25 points.
yeah, but let's look at the roster here for
Broken ankles.
broken ankles. You have your boy JD Jolie.
Yeah. Who should be very dominant in Division E.
Yeah, Nicholas Sard. I think we were talking off air about his performances of late.
But he's still, that being said, the reigning Div 6D Finals MVP and champion.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's a very good player.
He's a very good player.
1 game played, 1 catch, 5 yards. Simon Richard, who we know very well.
Smoke
from
Shaw is
the-
also a talented player.
So is it you
Right
s-
there, you have a very strong Division
Yeah.
E receiver core with these 3 guys.
Well, right there, and I'll bring up this point though, guys. And I know this year the new PZ Royal Rumble that we have here, where we're going to rank teams according to what we think is the best fit here. But do we devalue their wins and losses? Let's say they go 5-5, and
Well, at this point, they're going to go 0-10.
well, let's just say they go 5-5.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Argument's sake, right here. Are we going to say, hey, we're going to rank this team hard because we just listed off a bunch of guys who've had past FPF success because of who they were? Or are we going to say this is who they are?
Are we going to rank them higher than other 5-5 teams?
That's the
or
thing, right?
like at what point? Like I would say that if you give me a bunch of 5-5 teams and that's the only criteria we have, and we have to rank them amongst each other rather than pairing them against 6-4 or 7-3 teams. Like if it's just that, yes, the next step after their record is to look at strength of schedule, the roster that they have. So depending on who the other teams are at 5-5 with the rosters that they have, yes, it's possible that we will overvalue them based on who they have on the team.
Yeah, you're right with the strength of schedule. If you lost your games, let's say you have 5 losses, right?
Yeah.
But you have 5 losses by less than 5, that's 6 points, and all your wins are by 25 points, then that's a much stronger 5-5 team than a team that won against teams that are not in the playoffs or on the outside, like the worst team in the division, and barely made it against some teams that were missing the quarterback, for instance.
So today, are they an E2 playoff bound or the
Yes.
Yes.
A higher and E2? Or
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that they will be successful in E2 if that's the case, if they continue along this trajectory. And even if they start to pick it up, if they're a Div E1 team, they did something to merit it, and they turned the season that started off so poorly around. So either way, it's going to be win-win for them.
Best defense in E1 is who? And I have them listed here. We have Pension Plan, Los Bandidos, Loyola's Finest, the U Clinkers, Dude Where's the End Zone, Ranchers, and Glow Gang. So out of those plethora of teams who have the 2 weeks, these are the teams that have given up less than 35 points this year, so about 17.5 points per game average. Who's your best defense right now, gentlemen?
We will both agree on Rancers, I'm sure.
Yes.
7 interceptions in 2 games is ludicrous.
Yes.
Aside from that, off the top of my head, Glow Gang have a strong offense, and they had 5 defensive interceptions, so they have a very smart, methodical offense, and they can lean on their defense.
But does that worry you, though, because they've only given up 21 points here, GM, but they've only scored 37 so far this year?
That's completely irrelevant. You ask the best defenses, not the best teams.
I know, but is that putting too much pressure on the defense to win the football games, though, and win the field position battle at that point?
Not when you have Arnaud Desjardins at quarterback.
Fair enough.
Very true.
I like Clinkers as well. The pair of Marc-Andre Blais at rusher, Louis Bégin, deep safety, who will gobble up all those deep passes. So I think that defense, surrounded by the guys who know FPF as well, will be a strong defensive team.
I worry for him, by the way.
What?
Louis Bégin,
Louis?
physically. Like, this guy, like, torques his body like a gymnastics
You can't.
Yeah.
You will
Olympian.
not finish the season. Every time he's playing
Is he
FPF
like
or
the lower divisions Antonio Lani?
For those who don't know, Antonio Lani, he's a player who plays in the higher divisions. He
Has
won,
no regard for his
He
body.
won the year, I believe it was in
Hashtag.
2010 or 2011.
It would be
20
spring
spring-
2010 because it was
So-
on my team.
Spring 2010, where I believe he threw his body and he cracked his face in half. and
Yeah,
had it-
he went diving for a flag and went like cheekbone to knee or something like that.
So this is a guy. So that's the comparison we use for Louis Bégin.
But he's also like one of our all-time He's also one of our all-time leaders in interceptions. He has a ton of championships.
Oh, yeah,
Div 1
he's a
pedigree.
fantastic
Miami Dolphin
player.
fan.
Louis Bégin is not.
No, that's Leo Lenny.
Yeah,
Louis
that's
Bégin
right.
is not a bad player. The only thing is he gets hurt constantly, and he's been hurt before, and he barely plays healthy, and he knows his wrist hurts, his ankle hurts, but he still plays anyways. So the problem is he's gonna be at the midpoint of the season playing multiple teams. He might be a bit banged up. He's gonna play anyways, and then something might crack.
Yes, Eagle.
Just to let you know, we have a write-in in the
Oh.
comment section.
But hold on,
from
before, can we take a guess who it is? Is it Duke?
No.
Oh. Is it Peasy?
Can we stop guessing? This is terrible.
It was the number 10 quarterback in Division C.
Oh, Division
C,
B.
Division B.
Oh, Division B. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Sean Avram.
He says Aspy.
Sean Avram.
Okay. That's where you're
Number 10 quarterback out of 9.
Asby?
Yeah, that's where you're number 10 in the list.
For those of you watching, feel free to go ahead and write your comments in the Facebook Live comments, and we will read them out loud. That is all.
Thank you, Eagle. If you were to say right now, guys, and again, we're always speculating here, but if whoever has the best defense, does that really put them in a different level of like how you rank them?
I think in Division E, defenses matter maybe a bit more because there are only a handful of teams that could score easily against pretty much anybody. There's not a lot of very strong quarterbacks in Division E. There's a few, but they're not as dominant as in other divisions. So a good defense really gives you a nice boost and helps your team have a better record. And moving forward, you've seen it last season in Division 6 with Green Monster, whose offense was not very dominant.
Oh, they're awful.
But they made it all the way to the semis because their defense was amazing.
And they only conceivably lost that game because their quarterback was missing too.
Yeah.
So that also
Yeah,
tells you is
for
that
sure.
like they were on their backup quarterback and still leaned heavily on their defense and almost made it through.
Almost made to the finals. So I
So-
do believe defense can win championships in lower divisions.
Without picking it, I'll ask you guys to pick a team right now. Out of the list that we have, Pension Plan, Bandidos, Loyola's Finest, the U Clinkers, Dude, Where's the End Zone, Ranchers, and Glow Gang. Who do you think can be in the finals on August 5th? Not August 12th now, people. August 5th.
Pension plan.
I like Pension Plan, but we won't know what they do in the playoffs.
Kiss of death.
So
They're done in the playoffs.
I like Rancers this season. I like the U. Average Joes have been pretty good so far. It's only been 2 weeks, so let's not overreact, but I think they have a solid roster together.
Pension Plan will be like Virginia University in the tournament.
Ayo.
They'll get bounced by a Division
Ayo.
E2 team. It's team of the week here, guys. We'll talk about a couple of teams here. ORSA 1-1. They won a forfeit over Sandbaggers.
Is it
60-0.
ORSA or is it ORSA?
Orsa or RSA, whatever it is. They won 60-0 over Sandbaggers. Forfeit. For those who don't know, for those who do forfeit your games, you lose 60-0, not the old traditional 3-0. Yes, you go.
Depends on the type of forfeit.
Yes.
So there's I'll call it the administrative forfeit, which is you below your roster cap, you bring in a quarterback who's ineligible to throw. Those types of forfeits, you get too many URs in the game and everything. That's a 30-0 forfeit. But if you don't show up to your game and basically be like, we're not playing, then it's a 60-0 forfeit now. We've modified that.
essentially-
And what type of ramification does this have on the overall long term for a team that does give up the
So,
forfeit?
a couple things. First off, your points against is used as a tiebreak criteria when it comes to playoffs. So, beforehand, we actually had teams that tried to abuse the forfeit system by taking less points against by purposely forfeiting games that they knew were going to get blown out in. So, now that's no longer a thing. Now you actually get penalized for it. And then, secondly, if you forfeit your week 10 or your last game of the season for either I don't feel like going or we already have a playoff spot, so what's the point type of thing, you are ineligible for playoffs, even if you're like the first seed, basically.
So if Team X is 9-0 and they're like, you know what, I have to go to my college up north.
Yeah, either way, we're going to finish in the 1 seed.
You're
Yeah.
done. You're done. You're not making playoffs.
That's stupid.
It's not
Yes, it
exactly
is.
for that reason. Because
So
So
let's
when
say-
did
let's
communism
say-
become a big factor now in division?
No, so let's say me and you, Mokan. Let's say we play together, or let's say all four of us are on the same team and Pieces get married that week 10. So none of us can make the game.
So-
we all know ahead of time we're going to forfeit that game.
So you're telling me in this room with FPF resources as strong as those that
Okay,
you have, you cannot find
I'm saying not
four
us
people.
necessarily, but there's
not
a
only
chance that.
but
No,
the
you
whole
actually
point-
did say you necessarily.
No,
you
but
used
yeah.
yourself as the example.
But if you have, let's say you have a team, it's a summer, so
Yeah.
there's a chance that the team who are friends can make the game because they have something planned already.
Then you should have put that in the sked builder 3 months in advance.
Or if you did, but it didn't.
So
work.
so again, just to clarify
Or it
for
did,
the new
but, you know,
teams out
didn't
there,
black out.
I know it's still early in the season, which will remind you as we move towards the end of the year in early July, mid-July. But please take into consideration if you're holding out of the playoff spot and you say, you know what, I'm not going to show up to week 10, week 11. Keep this in mind that you may not be eligible for the playoffs, or you will not be eligible for the playoffs.
Correct.
All right, so a team that could be eligible for the playoffs, Orsa or ORSA, however we're going to call them.
It's Orsa, there's no dots.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
your research, Mokan.
I try to do my research here. Okay, Anthony Spiza, 91 yards passing, and he's a new quarterback in this league here. They're 1-1. They lost his own 6 we talked about before, lost to Eagles team.
Yeah.
And they won a forfeit over Sandbaggers. So right now, guys, out of the gate, really can't tell much about this team here in terms of what they have. Their key games, 1-speed power, Lemons, number 1, and average Joes. What do we expect from a team like this with minimal FPF experience?
I think that's a tough schedule coming up. Well, it's either a tough schedule or it's like a real test, if you want. They're playing good teams that know what they're doing. So 1-speed power, they might not be the strongest team, but if you're able to beat 1-speed power, you know, you could. If you're able to beat that team, you know what you're doing.
it's a
essentially.
good measuring stick for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
division.
Thank you, Jim. I think Lemons are better than a lot of people give them credit for. Number 1 is one of your favorite teams.
My favorite name.
And Average Joes, I think they're one of the strongest teams that no one talks about. So I would say that it's a tough test coming up. But if they're able to come out of these 4 games on top, then they might be a better team than we expected them to be.
GM, your thoughts?
6-4 sounds reasonable.
Well, I think that should put
In an
you-
ideal world, 7-3, but.
But does that constitute what then? A high E2 or low end E1 playoff?
That's not up to me.
That's fair.
You just asked for how I
Yeah.
think they'll finish.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks that having a win that's a default win means you don't really get the experience from that.
You don't get
And
the
that-
What's
play.
one
you
less
don't get-
game
you
of
don't get
reps,
the-
right?
Exactly, you don't get the reps.
Yeah, and that hurts though for that team. Bulldogs, another team in.
Wait. Their
Yes.
jerseys have Italia on it, so that means they might be named after the type of Italian submarines, which are torpedo ships called the Orsas.
Can you please?
or the Orsa Maggiores as well.
Can you Wikipedia that for us, please? I need
Ego,
to find out.
could you message one of the players and ask them?
Yes, call them up right now. You go on
Thank
the
you.
bat line.
I
Why
shall
don't we just
not.
open the garage door and park our head out?
Hey, Orsas, are you around? What's this the team name mean? Torpedo or what is it? You said torpedo. What was the
Sandwich?
other- Sandwich.
A city in Norway?
It's also a city in Norway. No, it's a training ship too, the Orsa Maggiore.
I assume you had that at your house, Eagle. You seem like one of those nerdy types that have those type of ship battles in your
I
house.
do.
See? You learn something new about Eagle every day.
I would go with the sandwiches.
South sounds pretty nice right now. As I'm fasting, I'm almost finishing up my fast here. Okay, Bulldogs lost to the Guardians, but beat the Brewers, who PZ said not bought into last week. Their key players, Jordan Schwartz, 10 TDs already, no INTs. The Boyman boys, 6 TDs already combined, and Mendelsohn with 2 TDs here. Dynamic offense, would you agree, given how prolific they've been so far in the first 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, without a doubt. Similar players on this roster to the process of Division 5B last winter.
Yeah.
Similar sort of quarterback airing it out, like throwing go-get-it passes and having receivers stretch the field on deep balls. Very, very prolific offense.
What do you think, Simone?
They play that sort of high-risk, high-reward offense where, like you Jem said, you throw it up and you hope that it works. They have the players to make it, and it's a fun offense to watch. It's a fun game that makes FPF very interesting. Is it always successful? Not necessarily, but it's been working for them so far. So they only lost to potentially the best team in Division E, so it can't be that bad.
Fun fact: their
Yes.
jerseys have Bulldogs written on it.
Orsa.
No, the Bulldogs. These guys.
Okay.
So
know.
better.
Likely they
I thought we were going back to the
are.
history of Orsa here.
Likely they are a species of canine.
Okay, thank you. Is it English or the French Bulldog that they have as
Thank
their
you
logo?
for that. It's always worth it just for like the half second that Mo takes to realize what you're doing.
Is it the English or French Bulldog is their logo?
It's Bulldogs with air quotes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, but
It could also be the HMS Bulldog, which is a marine ship for the the UK.
Thank you, General, for your overseas history on ships and battleships. I assume you were a big battleship guy when you were a kid. That board game, right?
Yes.
T3.
Yeah.
You fun
Miss.
kid.
Prediction for the record for the Bulldogs will be what this year, gentlemen?
7-3.
Cool. Sure.
They have oat cart, Los Avocados,
No, it's
Lemons,
not do that.
Savages,
It's not do
Les
that.
Damas de
Please stop.
Sac, Replacements, Average Joes, and EZW.
Average Joe's Los Avocados might be.
Yeah,
the couple
7-3.
games.
7-3 sounds right.
Let's just name a bunch of things out loud that nobody's reading, so it looks very bad on radio. Thank you, Eo, for that.
That's a webcast, actually. You can see us.
And their schedule was on screen.
We
So
should-
people
we-
are following along.
We should do. Whatever, man.
Okay, after
Done
passing
with this.
the quarterback position, after passing him on in Division E,
After Patsadama?
yeah, he's running away right now. 11 TDs, 2 INTs, almost 545 yards passing. But after that, though, guys, what do we see the state of the quarterback position in this division now in terms of how we've seen it and what we saw on the field so far?
Do you want to say Vince Pisano or do you want me to say Vince Pisano?
I don't want to save him. So
Okay, cool. Vince Pisano, Josh Vasquez as well. There are still some premier quarterbacks in E that are not Pat Saint-Amand.
Oh, yes, definitely. I think there's also Evan Frank's having a good season with the U.
10 TDs, no INTs.
Yeah.
Same thing for Jordan Schwartz.
I was about to say Jordan Schwartz. Thank you. The guy from the Bulldogs we just talked about. He's having a good
Yes,
season,
the
man.
worship.
The English Bulldogs or
Oh,
the French Bulldogs?
Oh.
Jesse St. James as well.
Probably French
doing
ones.
well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys who are doing well so far. It's only been 2 weeks, so let's not overreact. But I think that, yes, Pat Saint-Amand is probably the best quarterback in the division, but there's a few guys out there that are right there on his tail that will have a good season and will make a lot of games interesting.
Will he get 50 touchdowns this year,
Yes.
GM? One player? Or
Barring no forfeits.
will there be more than one player that will have the 50 touchdown mark?
No.
I think we're going to see 3 of them.
They hit 50 touchdowns.
Yes. 3
Who
of them.
are we looking at here? We're looking at
Pat Saint-Amand.
okay,
Maybe Jordan Schwartz.
Schwartz. He's at 50.
Maybe Vince Pisano.
Oof, that's gonna be tough, man. William Powers at 10 touchdowns right now. That's
Yeah, but he
tremendous.
also has 5 picks. That's not,
And he has Eagle
the-
as a
it's
receiver.
the Peas offense.
Fun
Check it out,
fact,
man.
of the top 20 quarterbacks from a touchdown percentage, only 2 of them have a completion percentage under 50%.
Yeah, a bunch are in the low 60s right now, passing wise. So we'll have to see if
60 is
that's-
pretty good, man.
It's not bad. Not bad at all. It's now time for
Games of the week.
the week of the
Yay!
games.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Jean-Guy versus Grinders.
Oh, grinders, bro. Jean Guy, man.
Jean-Guy's a mess. Give me Grinders.
It's like they never left.
I like their
2000.
shirts, Grinders. You can't.
I haven't seen them
They'll
yet.
never need pennies.
What color are they?
It's like a green, like fluorescent.
Oh, in neon green. Very well. Next,
Glow Gang versus Ducks. Speaking of neon green.
Hey, give me Glow Gang.
give me Ducks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Ducks can rebound.
Okay. The Genosaurus Rex against Mo's favorite, number 1.
Saw them play last week. The Genosaurus Rex.
It's an amazing name, by the way.
Very nice name. Still probably a season away from being competitive. Give me number 1.
Give me number 1.
And Los Avocados against the Underdogs.
Anyone not named our boy, Tom Zorko?
Tom Zorko is going to have 4 touchdowns and 120 yards. Give me Los Avocados.
Do you think he goes home more satisfied with 4 touchdowns and a loss? Or is he more of a team guy? What do you think?
I think he plays for the stats, man.
What do you think, GM?
Well, he has a championship already. So I mean, at this
He's
point,
a good player. Don't take me wrong.
he did win it with Mayhem.
Yeah.
What do you think, Eagle?
I think that if Zorko doesn't put up stats, they don't get the win.
Also
Right,
true.
but is he one of those guys that in
He
the
could
loss,
even put up the stats, and they could still
You mean,
continually lose.
you mean he would finish with 1 catch, 5 yards, and
They win and he's
they
pissed
win,
off.
and he's mad because he didn't
Yeah.
get the ball? Maybe. I think he's playing for the hardware also. He's playing for that receiver of the year.
individual hardware or team hardware?
I legit don't see them winning if he doesn't put up monster games every week.
What's a monster game for you in your eyes? What
It's
he
got to
has
be
to do?
2-3 TDs
Minimum.
Two's not
minimum,
that.
every week.
That's
Three
a lot,
a
man.
week with like 100 yards.
Yeah.
So that means you're saying he's gonna be able to put up 30 touchdown
Yep.
reception, like catch 30 balls.
I would say that he's too talented
He's the
to
focal
be
point of this
stopped.
offense.
Yes.
How much does he has right now? What's his current stats after 2 weeks?
For Tom Zorko this season,
Yeah, well, it's only been 2 weeks, right?
I
But
know.
let's
this year for Tom Zorko, as I loaded up right
project
now,
a little bit.
he right now is at a clip of 6 touchdowns after 2 games, 15 catches for 193 yards. So 15 catches, so that's about 7.5 per game. So he's on pace for almost 70, or if not more than that.
So he's on pace for close to 1,000 yards and 30 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And
and he's being
about-
chased by Charles-Olivier Lavigne with 175 yards and 6 touchdowns, only 9 touches on that one. And it's in Vaillancourt with 139 and 5 on 14 touches.
I mean, those are all pretty good numbers.
Louis Bégin has numbers, but we know he's not going to make it to the end of the season. So.
No, he won't. No, he won't. All right, I picked Los Avocados to win that game. Who do you got? Underdogs or Los Avocados?
Yeah, Los Avocados, man.
Okay, fair enough then. It is now time for the magic words, please, gentlemen.
Hey, we heard their music now.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Music's back. Look at that. We are moving up in the world.
Fixed
here.
it.
Congrats, Eagle.
Moving up in the world. I'll keep my magic words for the end of the show, not the end of the episode. Or is it episode?
Good night,
Peas.
PZ. I hope your wrist gets better and you're back fully medicated.
It won't. He's home alone.
No, he's not. He's probably having some beer right now. And use some Black Forest cake. Actually, I know you want to eat that right now.